Hello everyone. If you've seen my other videos, I'm sure you weren't expecting something so soon, but say hello to my new filler content character that I am going to customize. I'll get back to you once I've decided how I want this guy to look. There we go. I think this has some nice young warrior off to challenge the world vibes. So, I'll go over what I'm planning on doing with this account while you watch me go through Tutorial Island here, I guess. The idea behind this account stems from three things. The first is that quite a few people have asked me to do more frequent uploads for my Extreme Chunk series than I was planning on doing. If you haven't seen any of my videos from my Extreme Chunk series yet, please check it out since that's still going to be my primary focus. But I have a grind ahead of me on that account that will last probably a year or more. But I personally don't think I can make much content out of it until it's done either, so I didn't want to do smaller updates. Rather, I've had an idea that I think I can use as side content. Which brings me to my other two motivations which resulted in this idea in the first place. Both of them relate to some dissatisfaction that I've had. First, I was dissatisfied with Shattered Relics League. I enjoyed the league a lot as a chance to explore parts of the game I hadn't experienced before, but I think there were some fundamental flaws in the league's design. The most interesting aspect of the league to me was that skills were locked behind league points. So what I thought would be most interesting for the league was if unlocking skills had a high cost and you really had to work with and plan out how you were going to use what you have. Like if you only have 4 skills, well, what's the most that I can get out of these 4 skills with, all the limitations that are on me? If each skill had a bunch of different tasks tied to it, scattered around the world, it makes planning and ingenuity and exploration with the league's open world a much bigger factor, and it could have made the league more interesting to me, like a big puzzle. Instead, the tasks seemed pretty heavily combat-oriented and boss-oriented, which, is fair, considering bosses were also locked behind points, but I think they could have been locked behind more. But anyway, many of the skills were outside of combat were pretty underwhelming. Rune crafting had tasks for every standard rune up to law, but no task for blood or soul runes, for example. They could have easily added more tasks for like combination runes or multiple runes for there as well, and that's just rune crafting. Smithing had all sorts of tasks that could have been made for it, and so could many other skills. Strength and HP were particularly notable. They weren't as big of issues because of the combat tasks, but the skills themselves only had 4 and 2 tasks respectively, where strength could have easily had tasks like do X amount of damage in one hit, and HP could have easily had take X amount of damage in one hit and survive tasks. I think there was a lot of missed opportunities where we could have had harsher limitations on skill unlocks, but a lot more that you can gain from making use of the skills that you have. My third motivation and second dissatisfaction is a bit simpler, and that's with Tileman mode. I've watched a few Tileman series. I think I've watched the original and I've watched Settled's most recently, and while they're entertaining at first, I find that, for me, the appeal quickly wears off compared to a lot of other Snowflake irons. The fundamental issue I have is that once you reach a good grinding spot with that account, you can just sit there and grind for as many tiles as you need. Settled has done a good job of not going straight to Wintertod and picking different grinds and more interesting goals to mitigate the problem, but I think the problem is still there. And the game mode ends up feeling, to me, too much like the regular game, but slower, just go to wherever you need to, and then if you run out of tiles, just go back to your grinding spot until you have as many as you need. And so I had the idea, what if I could resolve both of my dissatisfactions with Shattered Relics and Tileman mode at the same time? The idea is pretty simple. Rather than having a permanent source of tiles via experience gained, I'm going to have set tasks, and completing a task is going to earn me a set amount of tiles. And so with the tiles I have, I'm going to have to make the best use of them to find my way to complete more tasks. Thus, I present Trialman mode. Alright, without any further ado, allow me to introduce you to TrialTile. Sit back for a while because going through the rules for this guy is going to be a bit of a doozy. At a surface level, the Trialman mode rules are fairly simple. I get tiles for completing tasks, or trials as I call them, rather than getting experience from a skill, and much like leagues, I've come up with a list of things that count as tasks, and I will assign them tiers, and I will get a set amount of tiles rather than league points for completing a task of that tier. The tiers, there's the lowest tier is music tier or skill tier, as I will also come to call it. Then beginner, easy, medium, hard, elite, master, grandmaster, hero, legend, and myth. Beginner is 10 tiles, easy is 25 tiles, medium is 50 tiles, hard is 100 tiles, and it basically follows this pattern of 1, 2.5, 5, and then 10, all the way up to 10,000 tiles at myth. The ways to unlock the tiles, unlocking a music track, leveling skills, both of these are only for anything after completing Tutorial Island and reaching my starting location, so the 9 free levels in HP don't count, nor do the 30-some music tracks that I start with. Completing quests will unlock tiles, completing achievement diary tasks or combat achievements will unlock tiles, with bonuses for tier completion and boss completion for combat achievements. And then I also wanted to include collection log items, since those are easy to track, and so those will unlock tiles and will also give a bonus for completing a section. And then there may be miscellaneous tasks or trials, like I get starting tiles for finishing Tutorial Island, and then I may include other things like current rep.
Great googly woogly!
I wrote some of these kind of in a daze in the middle of the night one of these nights, so they may not be written in a very clear or concise manner, but I have written out some more detailed rules for the sections and how I will determine tiers for tasks and trials, and anything that may be not clear here I'll explain more in detail as I get to it in the series, so feel free to skip this part if you don't care that much, or just pause it and read the summary and then skip. But the gist of it is I will get 5 tiles per song for unlocking music tracks. Once again, only songs unlocked after starting. Skills, I was originally going to go with 10 tiles per level. It was going to be beginner tier, but I also moved that to music tier because I quickly realized that 10 was a bit much for starting. And 5 tiles per level at the very beginning seems like a lot, but even with the bonuses, which I'll go over later, 5 tiles per level ends up being a lot less than I would get by going with the experience route. I forgot to completely update this to account for me moving skill levels from 10 tiles per level to 5 tiles per level, but the general premise still stands. I'll be getting bonuses at 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, and 99, and each bonus will be plus 1 tier from the prior bonus, or the initial bonus will be plus 1 tier from the base. So the base per level is 5 tiles per level at music tier, and so the bonus at level 20 will be plus 1 tier from that, or 10 tiles. The bonus at level 40 will be plus 1 tier from that, so 25 tiles. And then 50 tiles, 100, 250, and 500 at 99. This amounts to a total of 1,430 tiles for reaching level 99 in a skill, which is a little bit over a tenth of what you would get for hitting level 99 in a skill on a regular Tileman getting 1 tile every 1,000 experience. It's a faster start, but a much slower end. You start getting more per level around on a regular Tileman at around 44, and then you surpass the overall amount of tiles somewhere in the mid 60s. So all of this means I can't just sit there and grind skills to unlock tiles. I'm going to have to try to reach the other methods of unlocking tiles and focus on those as much as I can to get the most out of the grinding that I can do. For quests, achievement diaries, and combat achievements, I've tried to align the task tier to the quest and achievement tier. So for quests, the point reward is directly tied to the quest tier. Novice quests will count as a medium task and will give 50 tiles. Intermediate quests will be hard tasks and give 100. Experienced quests will be elite tasks. Master quests will be master tasks and give 500, and grandmaster quests will be grandmaster tasks and give 1000 tiles. I may additionally increase the tier of the reward or the tier of task for a quest if the quest uses a lot of tiles that aren't used outside of the quest. An example of this would be jumping across the boats in Dragon Slayer 2, which takes up quite a few tiles and has literally no use outside of the quest, whereas Underground Pass uses quite a lot of tiles, but you can use it out of the quest, and you in fact do for Regicide, and so I would not +1 or +2 the tier for Underground Pass, but may for Dragon Slayer 2. Recipe for disaster tiers will just be the same as the highest prerequisite quest for that subsection of Recipe for Disaster. Achievement diaries and combat achievements will follow a similar system, so easy achievements will be easier tier tasks and give that number of tiles, and then I'll get bonus tiles on completion of all achievements of a diary tier, with the bonus being +2 tiers, so completion of all easies in an area will be considered a hard tier task and give a 100 tile bonus. Additionally, I'll get a bonus 2,500 tiles for completion of all diaries. Combat achievements are similar. They will reward tiles of the same tier as the achievement. So, easy achievements, easy task, easy number of tiles, and so on, all the way up to Grandmaster. Additionally, I'll get 1 bonus for the first boss kill if killing that boss is not already a combat achievement. So bonus Obor already has a kill Obor once achievement, but bosses that don't have a kill this boss once achievement will give a bonus for the first boss kill. The tier of the boss will be equivalent to the lowest combat achievement tier for that boss. So Barrows has an easy combat achievement, so Barrows would be considered an easy boss, and so on. Additionally, I'll get bonus tiles for completing all achievements for a boss, which will be +1 tier from the highest achievement of that boss, not counting Slayer monsters or quest bosses who have combat achievements. And there will also be a +3 tier bonus for completing all achievements of a combat achievement tier. So if I, by some miracle, manage to complete all of the Grandmaster combat achievements, that would be one of the few myth tier tasks and give me 10,000 tiles. Collection log is where things get tricky. There's so much variety in there that I can't come up with a one-size-fits-all rule, and so I'm going to be winging it a little bit. I kind of wrote this out poorly here, but I'll try to explain it as simply as I can. The general idea for the collection log is for each section, I'm going to pick an item that serves as a baseline. I'm going to assign that a task tier and it will award a certain amount of points, and then everything else in that section will be given a tier relative to that baseline. So for bosses, in most cases, the best drop rate log item will be used as the baseline unless there is a log item that is significantly more common than most of the rest. The easiest example there is Barrows. Almost all of the Barrows drops have the same drop rate except for bolt racks, which are significantly easier to get. So bolt racks would not be used as the baseline. It would be the next up that is not trivial to get. From there, the baseline drop rate is looked at, and then everything else is either the same tier or -1 to +3 tiers relative to that baseline based on the drop rate. So if it's much easier than the baseline, like bolt racks, it would be -1 tier. Otherwise, if it is 2 times the drop rate of the baseline, it's +1 tiers. 5 times the baseline drop rate is +2 tiers, and then 10 times the baseline drop rate, which would typically be pets and jars and the like, would be +3 tiers. Some drops may have a slightly different tier that won't use their base drop rate, like if they have a subtable and a shared drop rate within that subtable, the subtable's drop rate will be used. So Godsword shards are the example here. I would use the drop rate of 1 in 254 rather than 1 in 762. Clue collection logs and minigame collection logs and most others will follow a similar format. For each section, I'll pick a baseline and then everything else will be determined relative to that baseline. So for clues, the shared clue drops are all going to be medium, but otherwise the baseline should be the most common collection log item from each tier of clue, and then obtaining that item will be a task of the same tier as a clue. So getting a beginner collection log item will be a beginner tier task from a beginner tier clue. Anything with a drop rate from that clue that is 2 times, 5 times, or 10 times the drop rate will be +1, +2, or +3 tiers respectively. And mega rares will automatically be +3 tiers from the lowest tier clue they can be obtained from. Minigames, similarly, I'll keep an eye out for anything that is unusually common or easy to get from that minigame. So like Brimhaven Agility Arena tickets would not be the baseline because you can get it for tagging 2 poles, compared to everything else for the Agility Arena being a much higher cost and time investment. But other than that, I'll pick something that is lower cost or time investment, and then everything else will be determined relative to that. So like for Castle Wars, it may be a 10 cost item. Anything lower than 10 cost would be -1 tier, and then everything at certain multiples of that 10 ticket item will be +1, +2, or +3 tiers. The main exception will be Slayer monster drops, which they'll be decided by Slayer level or drop rate, which I've yet to determine how I'm going to figure that out, but I'll get to it when I get to it. For each collection log, there's going to be a bonus reward for section completion, which will be +1 tier from the highest in the section. So if I somehow manage to complete the mega rare collection log, which will have +3 from master clues, then I would be getting a lot of tiles, but obviously that's not going to happen. And then for miscellaneous trials, like I'll get 10 tiles for finishing Tutorial Island, and then I may give other rewards for co-rend reputation, museum kudos, completion of the stronghold security, maybe emotes for clue completion, that sort of thing. And that's, I'll determine all of that as I go. It's too much to think about ahead of time. And hopefully that all wasn't terribly confusing. If it is, like I said, as I go, I will explain things and I'll make note of how many tiles I'm getting and why I've assigned certain tasks. If you have any sort of interest in playing something like this, feel free to take my rules and modify them as you see fit. I think there's a lot of potential for fun and shenanigans in this game mode. Alright, I've got my Tileman plugin set up. I'm taking notes on the side. I also have a spreadsheet off screen that you can't see that is going to handle lots of calculations for me. And we'll go from here. I suspect that what's going to happen is I'm going to have a lot of tiles to work with to start off, and then I'm going to very quickly run out and have to start budgeting and figuring out what I want to do with them. So we'll see how that goes. First things first, I should probably use my 10 tiles to get a little bit of space around here that I can work with to kill rats and men and start earning more tiles with levels, and yeah, we'll see what I do from there. Probably do what the other tilemen have gone and go for the woodcutting and magic tutors. But I think the overall plan is I'm going to rush for Varrock because there's a lot of content in Varrock. There's a lot of potential tasks I can do, so I think that's going to be the most efficient location for me to travel to. Alright. Pickpocketing is probably going to be the easiest way to get a quick level. Maybe. There we go. That's plus 10 tiles right there. It's a lot right now compared to a lot of other Tilemen, but I think it's not gonna feel like as much soon. One thing that's going to be a bit of a pain is I'm having to manually set my tiles unlocked because the Tileman plugin wasn't really designed for this sort of Tileman, but it's just something I'll have to put up with because I am too lazy to make my own plugin. So, let's go this way. Alright, more tiles unlocked. What a waste. I don't know if I can reach any of the tutors yet. Probably need one more level. There we go, another strength level and more tiles. Alright, with this I should be able to reach the range and magic tutor, which will let me start getting some levels easier, and then I can start looking towards reaching Varrock and planning out what I do once skills stop awarding so many tiles relative to their ease of training. I hadn't even realized that pickpocketing someone was an easy Lumbridge and Draenor achievement diary task, so I guess that's some more tiles for me. Alright, with these tiles, I'm gonna make my way over to the woodsman tutor, and alright, I've got an axe, and that is going to be my ticket to Varrock, where I will figure out what I want to do next. Alright, I made my way to the general store and got myself a knife, so now I can woodcut, fletch, and fire making, and should be set on tiles for a while until I start having to travel around for quests and the like. Alright, I got level 5 woodcutting, but I'm already thinking that 10 per level for leveling skills might be a bit much. There's definitely going to be a point where the rate at which I need experience for skills would begin to outpace the rewards compared to regular Tilemans. That would be somewhere around like level 50, but I think I want it to happen sooner, so I can have more incentive to focus on achievements and collection logs and quests and the like. So I'm going to be dropping the amount of tiles earned for a level down to music tier, so it will be 5 tiles per level, and I will be dropping all of the bonuses down 1 tier as well. Alright, there we go. I've accounted for my additional levels, but I have changed the skill level tile unlock to 5 per level, so I'm not going to progress as early on in the early game. I'm sure I may regret this later once I get to higher level skills and the amount of training vastly exceeds the amount of tiles that I get relative to a regular Tileman, but I think for now it's the right choice because I felt like I was progressing a little too quickly, even if it's going to be a problem later. Alright, I have realized that learning my age from Hans is a Lumbridge easy task, so I'm gonna make my way in here and try to talk to him. Hopefully this is enough. Might not be. Yeah, I'm gonna need a few more levels. This will be fine because chopping and burning an oak log in Lumbridge is also a Lumbridge task, so That's 2 easy diary tasks I can take care of pretty easily. Alright, got a woodcutting and thieving level, that should be enough. I also have been using almost as many tiles as I've been getting, just chasing imps and men around, so I suspect I'm gonna have a lot of trouble in the future if I keep wasting tiles like this. Alright, now I just need to wait for Hans to walk over. This'll also be nice in case I get myself killed. I have tiles near the lumberge spawn. Come here, Hans. There we go, that's another easy diary task and another 25 tiles. And I'll see what I want to do from here. Alright, got myself a few more levels, and I'm thinking my overall goal for this account is going to be to get a quest cape. It's gonna take a lot of tiles and to do so, and it's gonna be a good metric of whether all my tasks are giving me too many or too few tiles. Don't know if I can make it all the way to the chickens, but I can at least reach the cow pen. Start training some cooking alongside fire making, that would be nice. Yeah, I won't be making it to the chickens with this. I want to because that will get me feathers for fletching, but also it's going to be helpful for Cook's assistant, but guess I'll go kill some cows for now. Alright, got some magic levels and a cooking level. I think that'll let me reach the chickens. Made it with exactly 1 tile to spare that I can pick up the drops with. Alright. There we go, that's another 5. Hopefully I don't burn any of these. Oh, well, there we go. I had completely forgotten until now that chickens run when they get low health, but it's certainly not fun for a Tileman. But I have enough for... Got some feathers and I can grab an egg for Cook's assistant. There we go, finally enough feathers. Back to fletching and fire making. Looks like Evil Bob is here to give me a bunch of tiles. Okay, let's see. Whoa, I didn't realize I unlock all the random event music at once. Well, that's very nice considering I forgot I needed tiles to actually do this random event. Alright, in hindsight, this probably wasn't worth the number of tiles used, but I'm here for the ride, so whatever. A nice 7 levels there. Right. Short bows also only give 5 experience. I am gonna go back to the chickens. There we go. There's enough feathers to feather the rest of these arrow shafts. Alright. That got me quite a few levels. I'll go cook some chickens and see what I want to do from here. I could go back to regular fletching, but I think I have an idea that's going to help me out in the future anyway. So, what's my idea? Find out next time. Thanks for watching, you're all wonderful. Look forward to more of this filler content while I bash my head into a bunch of implings.